Welcome everyone. This is the FrameReady webinar for production flow. We're going to be starting the taking of the orders, the production lists, ordering materials, tracking the work as it goes through the process, what to do when the materials arrive, when the order is completed, and when the customer picks it up, how to document that information. So these are the steps that we're going to be going through. Every store has a different way of handling these. I'm going to show you lots of different options so you can choose the one that's going to work best for you. So we're going to start out with taking the order. And Chrissy, interrupt me at any time if you do have that phone number.
I posted it in the chat.
Ah, okay, excellent. Great, thank you. Okay, so we're going to start out with taking the orders. So you've created a new work order. We're going to go to the work order screen and we'll just assume that I have created an order here. Find all, last record, there we go. And this is the one. So once you've entered in the measurements, the materials, the art, the customer information, it's created all the dates that things are due, it's given you a price. The next thing you want to do is you want to go and make sure that you document where the location is that the art is going to be stored before it is framed. And when you click on the location field, you can customize this field by scrolling down to the bottom and using the word edit. And when you click on the word edit, you'll get this lovely long list that you can change all the entries that are in there. And I usually set this up so that this is the location where the art is before it is framed. So we've got the locations of the bin, shelf, drawer, etc. And then there's a ready location as well. Where is it when it's framed and it's ready for the customer to pick up? And then finally on the list is the picked up, which tells us that the customer has the item and it's no longer in the shop. You're not responsible for it. The other thing that you can do, you'll see some gray lines going across there, is that if you wanted to customize this little list a little bit and create some separation lines in there, just enter in the hyphen and that will separate the items on your list so that when you go back in, that little gray line is dividing the places where the art is placed before it's framed, after it's framed, and when the customer has picked it up. So those are the little things that you can do to just make that a bit easier for you. Once you have created the work order, you're going to want to print out a document for them. If you use the icon at the top of the screen, this icon will print out one work order for you, just the current work order that you're looking at. And we'll just click on that for a moment so you can see it, and it has an image there. However, if you have a document, a customer who has more than one item, and I'm going to go back to my list view for a second there. If you do find that summarizing field comes up and you don't want it, you can just tell it to stop if it takes too long. Down here, Mary has two items, Mary Poplar, and they're both created for the same customer on the same day. So that means that they're going to go on to the same invoice. And if I wanted to print both of those out at the same time, all I need to do is go into the form view, and rather than using the icon at the top of the screen, I'm going to use the icon on the left-hand side of the screen that says print this customer's work orders. And the other trick is that if they all have the same job number, it will print out all of them as well, even if they are on different days. So click on print this customer's work orders, and you'll see a little bit of a difference here. It says 1 of 2, so it's identifying that there are 2 orders for this customer. And if I click the arrow, it'll go to the next record, which is the second one, 2 of 2. So we can see both of those on the work order screen. The other thing that you'll see on the work order screen is the location of the molding. If you've identified that, it will put it on here. Also, it shows the footage that's required that I need to have. And you'll notice that there aren't any prices on here. That's one of the options I've chosen to have those hidden, or you can have them in view. And that can all be set up on the main menu under the Options tab, More Options. Okay, so there's the printed work order. The other thing that you'll notice that on that printed work order, the business name did not appear there at all because this is an in-house document. It's not for the customer. If you want to give the customer something, then you're going to click on Print Documents. And this is where you can show either the proposal, if it's an estimate, or the blind estimate, or a general summary. But clicking on one of these items, you will see that the logo for your business will appear on that. So if there is a logo in it, you can hand it to a customer. If you don't see the logo, it's an in-house document. Do not share it. Okay, the other thing that you can print out is an art ID tag. And what I really like about the art ID tags is that they're going to track the art all the way through the system. So let's go back to, if I wanted to, let's go back to the main menu and I'll show you options, more options, and then under the print options, this is where I can say I want it to appear with vertical lines, without vertical lines, the number of copies that I have. And if you do need more than one copy, you need to set the show print dialog box to no. But then if I don't want the prices to appear, or I do want the prices to appear, that's where I would select it. Also, if I want the art ID tags to print out directly after each order, I can turn it on, or I can turn it off and say, I'm going to print them out maybe at the end of the day or after there is a batch of them. There will be 6 of them on one order. So if I decide that I wanted to find all the ones that I had created for June the 10th that are incomplete, and then I'll click Perform Find. So here's the list that I want to print out. And there's a couple of ways that I can do that. I'm just going to go directly to the first record, go to Print Documents on the left-hand side, and click on Art ID Tags. And it will show me, do I want just the one or the found set? And I'm going to select the found set, and it's going to print all of them onto one page for me, which I can cut them apart. And the Art ID tag was designed so that it would travel with the art as it goes through the production process. The other great thing about these is that at the end, when you're finished with them, you can cut these apart, and since they are cut apart and they've gone with the art, you can attach them to the side of the package when it's finished. And that would be done by whoever the last person is, and then you would have, let me go find all, last record, there we go. And then you'd have all of your brown craft packages wrapped up with the art ID tags attached to them, which makes it easy to find them and easy to identify. No more with the marker hand writing them on there. So the other thing that can happen is in the production process, the last person who's completed it now has that small strip of paper that they can scan that in to the field. When they click on the Find button, scan the barcode in, it goes directly to that order, and then they can mark it as complete. And we'll do that in a moment. In the meantime, we're going to move on to the next portion. So that's just taking the order and getting ready. Now we're going to go into production. We've got the work orders that were created for this date. And now what we want to do is take a look at the list. So if you are in the form view, you can go to the left-hand side of the screen and click on List of Incomplete Orders. And when you click on that, it automatically finds all of the incomplete orders that are in your current FrameReady program. As you mark them complete, of course, those orders will go off the page and they'll be done. The other way to get there is if you are in the list already, is to click on Find Incomplete at the top of the screen. Or if you are in the main menu and you want to go see how many orders there are, you can click on Find Incomplete Orders. The little flag here on the right-hand side is telling me that I have 30 incomplete orders, and that's available in FrameReady 11 and then 10, I believe. So taking a look at my list of incomplete orders, I may want to print this out. Now I can go up to the top of the screen and click on Print List, and that will give me a very clean looking list, very similar to the page that you saw the screen view. Almost exactly the same information. The other one that you could take a look at, and I really like this one, it's under scripts, and I'm in the full menus. Let me go back to here and re-log in with level 3. And you can be doing any of this with level 2, level 3, level 4, any of those passwords, all of them will work for this, level 1. So if I go back to the work order screen now, up at the top, I can click on reports, and the one that I like is called Incomplete Schedule. And when you click on that, you're going to get a list, and I want my found set. Okay, and it's going to show me the date, what the priority status is, anything that's rush would say rush or promised, who it's for, the same information, but now it's also going to be telling me what is the frame number. It's going to show the mat and the glass and the mounting. So all of that information is now going to appear on this one chart. What some people like to do is when you have completed something and the mats have been cut, then they'll initial those or cross them out. And then when the entire piece is finished, they can initial the box or date the box to let you know when it was finished. And then right to the left of that box, where has it been placed? So this document can go right from start to finish if you're doing it that way. At the end of the day, then when things are completed, you can come back to the list view, and then on this screen, you would be able to mark that this one has been completed and that it's now ready for pickup. And you would select that and then send the email. And we'll do that just in a moment as well. But that document can follow you all the way through the process. The other place that you may want to take a look as, and we'll just go to this first record, is another button called Go to Materials List. And this section is under development right now. We're making some improvements to it. But if you wanted all of the items that are on here to go onto this material list, you can click on the button and it takes all of them and puts them on this screen. Now, different ways that people have used this is that they have assigned to different people what they're supposed to be doing. So they'll put the initials of that person who's doing what. Those are managers who are assigning work to the employees each day. Some companies do that, and then the employee would just find what has their initials on it. Once they've taken their initials off, then they would select the word done to show that it's been completed, and then their list is clean again. The other thing that happens is that when the materials have been received from the purchase order, there'll be an X here, and the initials of who received them will be placed here. There's a status field over on the left-hand side, and you can change this to say anything that you want. If it's going to be part of your production process, you can use that. If it's going to be assigning things, you can do that as well, or saying that something needs to be looked at, or put this on hold, or wait a minute. So you can do that as well, just to use that as another tool. I'm going to go back to the work order screen, because once all of the orders have been placed, what we want to do is order all of the materials that we need from people. So if for all of the orders, for all of our suppliers, let's go back to the main menu. And on the main menu down here in the bottom left-hand corner is where, in the orange block, is where it says Create Frame Order. And that's what we would be using. And when we click on that, it gives us the screen where you can make some selections. In this case, I'm going to say that I also want to create purchase orders. I want to print out the little labels that are going to go with the orders, and all of the extra screens, I want to show those today. If I didn't want to see them, I would change that to no. Otherwise, I do want to see them. At the top of the screen, if I leave the due date blank, it remembers the last date that an order had been received and had been processed. And then if I click the button, say on Tuesday at 4 o'clock, any order that was created after that time is automatically going to appear on the frame order. So I don't need to enter a due date. However, some people like to say, I only want to order my materials for today. So you could put in today's date for the work orders, or you could work it by due date. So that's another option for you. It's also identifying how many orders are eligible to be on this frame order. And if you're curious to find out, I'm going to show you how you would know what's going to be ordered on the frame list. So if I click on Find Work Order, and then I mark the box here that says Select for Frame Order, that's going to show me a list of all of the orders that are going to appear on my framing order or my purchase order. So all of these will be ordered. If for some reason there was one that I did not want to have on here because I really don't need to order the materials or anything that's on here, then I could use this button on the left-hand side to cancel this item. And now once I click that, it'll say, are you sure you want to change the status to exclude this from your framing order? And I'm going to say yes. Because maybe I know that when I hold my mouse over top that, it says that I need 5.5 feet, but the quantity on hand is 50. So I have plenty. I'm not going to order that. And there wasn't anything else that I really needed. on the order. So your choice, if you know you don't need to order it, you can just click the button. Once you've clicked the button is going to change to say select for frame order, so that if you changed your mind and you do want to order this, or there was something else on there that you needed, click on select for frame order. Are you sure you want to include this in the next frame order? And I'm going to say yes. When you click that button, it's everything that's on here, the frame, the mats, the glass, all of the items that are on there. You can't use the cancel frame order for just one item on the order. So I'm going to go back to the main menu now. And when I click on the button for create frame order, I'm going to leave the dates blank and proceed. It does take a few minutes for it to compile the list, but the nice thing is that it's easier than you sitting there with each page of the work orders and going through, and I need 6 feet of this molding, and I need 7.5 feet of this molding, and I need half of this mat board here, and I need another quarter here. So this is going to compile that entire list for you. The first several documents that you're going to see are ones that were created initially. This section of the program went through a couple of development stages. So this is the first one. When we first created FrameReady, this is the only option that you had. It would present to you with your molding cut list, and you can also print this out from the work order screen if you wanted to. If you don't need the molding cut list, then you can go ahead and click on continue and cancel. If you do have somebody who's cutting frames all day, this is a great list for them to be able to work from. And I'm going to say cancel. The next screen that comes up is the mat board cut list. And one of the things I like about this, even if I don't have somebody who's cutting mats the whole time, I can give this to someone and say, go to the back room and take a look. It says that we have 8.5 of these in stock. Take a look at if we've got a small scrap of this. Is this scrap piece going to be enough? And then if it is, then they can cross off the things that we don't need to order because we are wisely using the materials that we already have. So it could be a great pull list. Clicking continue, going on to the next document. And this is the stickers. And if you use the Avery address label stickers, you can put these onto the back of the frame once the frame has been assembled. No artwork in it, but each of these stickers will identify the molding number, the size, the description, and the work order that it's supposed to be attached to, and who the customer is for that work order as well. So some places like to pull these off and print them off, and they hand them to the person who is just cutting frames, and then they know that as each frame is done, they've got the stickers that they're putting onto the back of the frame. The person who's looking for the frame to assemble knows exactly which order it goes to quickly and easily, especially if you're using the same molding over and over, and the frame sizes could be fairly close. All right, this was the very first thing that we had. So this was the frame order. This was all that we had. And what you would do is you would either print it with page breaks or without, and it would identify the mat board, the company, who you're ordering it from, the call numbers right there, when you can call them. So all of that would appear on your lists, and you could either sort them out and print them individually and fax them to a company, or just call it in over the phone from the pages that you have here. And you can see that if you were ordering by chop or join, then you have the dimensions. If you're ordering by footage, then that's listed there as well. But moving on, the one that I like a little bit better than that is the purchase order. And that's the next screen. So any art that you need to order is also going to come up. And I did say that I needed to order that. There we go. So here's my list of the purchase orders that need to be ordered. And what I can do is I can say that, and I've put all of the crescent mats onto this order called mat board order, because I don't know, I might want to order them from one company, or I may want to order them from another company. It depends on how much I've got on each of those orders, and if I want to add a little bit more to them to get enough for free shipping. So that's an option for you as well. It doesn't have to say the exact company name. You can move things around. The second part of this is that when I looked at that previous document that showed me the framing order, and I noticed that maybe I only had 2 frames for one of the companies. So I could omit that and wait until there were more orders that came in, because I might have more to order from that company later. So if I omit them, then what will happen is they'll come up again the next time, and then there may be more on the list. So I'm going to click on the continue button, and this is going to go directly to the purchase orders. Here are the orders that have been calculated for me. So rather than me sitting there with each one of those lists, I'm going to click on Larson Jewell, and it's going to show me everything that I need to order from all of the work orders that were compiled. Over on the right-hand side, it's showing whether it's a chop or a length that I'm ordering. If it's a chop or a join, it's going to show the quantity along with the mat board as well. And then we also have the footage. Over to the far right, we have the quantity on hand. This is telling me how much do I have in stock for this item. So knowing that I had 50 feet in stock, it would probably have really been marked as a length, and I could delete this item from the list and say, I don't really need to order this. In which case I could say delete that item, remove it from the list. Okay, and it's gone. The other thing I could do too is if I decided that it says that I'm going to order it as a chop, but I really don't want to, I'm going to change this and say I'm going to order it by length instead. And again, I have 88 feet, so I really don't need to order that one. So normally I would delete that item. The other thing that happens is over on the left-hand side of the screen, it shows you the work orders that are associated with each one of these. So that if I was curious to say, really, is that the order that went there, I can go click on the Go button, which will take me directly back to that work order so that I can check on the item and then go back to the purchase order screen, the green button at the top, and say, yes, that's definitely what I needed, or no, it's not, I should have changed that. You can also add items directly onto this work order if you want, the purchase order if you want, and then identify what the quantity is that you want to order. So that's an option to you as well. One of the things that I would do though, before you place the order with the company, is that I would consolidate the order. And that way, anything that is being ordered by length, you can see all of them here, and it has all of the numbers for this same item. When I click consolidate order, it's going to total everything up for me. And it's going to tell me how many feet I need of that item and how many feet I need of each of the other items. So the other thing is that if that went to more than one work order, it would show all of the different work orders that that molding is on. And when I click the Go button, it goes directly to all of them to show me all of the work orders that that single frame is going to be used on. So I'm going to go back to the purchase orders again, and this time I want to take a look at that mat board order, because when I'm looking at the mat board order, and there's only one sad little lonely mat on there, but it does show me what I want to say, and that is that this says 0.25. I need a quarter of a sheet of that mat board. And as the case would be, I have a quarter of a sheet in stock, so that's fine. But if I didn't, I would certainly want to consolidate the order, because when I consolidate it, it's going to change that to the number 1. Don't leave it as the 0.25, just in case the company doesn't see that it's a decimal in front and thinks you are ordering 25 of these mats, or 0.5 and they think you want 5. So when you click consolidate order, then it does total it up for you. The other great thing on the screen that you can do is if I decided that I had 2 orders that I wanted to merge together, and I say I want to take everything that's on the mat board order and I want to move it over to a different order, and I can move it to Omega. I want to merge 2 purchase orders together. So I'm going to click on that button and it's going to say, where are you moving them from? Well, I'm going to take the mat board order, which is order number 692. That's the item number over on the left-hand side. And I'm going to move it over to the Omega order, which is 694. And just typing those numbers in, I'm going to click OK. And now it's taken everything off of the mat board order. It's completely blank. And I've moved everything over to the Omega order instead. So when I click on there, you can see that there is the mat that I was talking about. I can go back to the mat board order then, and since I don't need that one, I can delete it. To delete it, I want to go to list view. You can see that it's the one that's highlighted, it's white. Don't be fooled by the little marked box, because if I come back here and I decide to delete a record, it's not deleting the one that has the X in it. It's deleting the one that's highlighted and is white. So I'm going to click delete record to remove that item. So now I have my list of everything. If I wanted to see all the orders that were created just for today, then I can go back and say, find all of the orders that were created today and just today. And the today is always at the bottom of the calendar and any of the screens that you're in. So that makes it kind of easy to find. The other thing that we have is a terms field that appears on the right-hand side. And this was a great idea from one of our customers. And they said what they like to do is they like to use this field to identify things that are either back ordered or they have a credit, return, replacement, reorder, refund, all of those things that happen. So if this was one of those items that was returned, then it would show me that on the list. So if there are just maybe a few items that have been returned or I need a replacement for, one of the things that I can do is I can create a brand new purchase order for those items, because if everything else on here has arrived, it's going to be coming in, but one of them or two of them needs a replacement, then I'm going to create a new purchase order just for Larson Jewel here. I'm going to select the company name as Larson Jewel. Don't need to type in the full amount. There we go. So it's put it in there. And now what I can do is use that moving the items so that I can go to Larson Jewel, and this one is on 696. So what I want to do now is I want to move a couple of items and say that perhaps this one needs to be replaced. So I'm sending it to 696 and I'm moving it over to that purchase order. The same thing with, maybe we'll take another one here and move that one over as well. Okay, because when I called the order to them or placed the order, okay, I'm going to mark the circle to say that it was placed. When it's received, I mark the circle to say that it's been received and all of the items have come in, and I can accept them and it will put them back into inventory for me. But I wanted to remove those two items before I clicked the Accept All button to put all of this into inventory, because when I go back to that list, this item I want to say is actually not a net. It's one of those items that I'm waiting for replacement on those two pieces. So that's a nice, fast, easy way to be able to see what's happening on my list, the regular items and the ones that I'm tracking and saying, I need to keep an eye on those. I'm waiting for them to come in. For the items that do come in, and you can click on if all of them have come in, or if you have ordered footage and they sent you a different volume of the footage than what you've asked for, you could change that. But then you want to click on the Accept All button to put those items into inventory. And this is where it's asking for those initials that are going to appear back on the materials list, back on the work order. So I've said that I received all those and it's put all of them into inventory for me and updated the inventory for me as well. So that's the purchase order. If I decide that I want to print this out, this is what your purchase order is going to look like. And you'll see that it has the listing of the item that's requested, the description of it, the size, and the quantity that you need. The other thing that appears on here is the work order number and the customer's name. So some people have said, I really don't want the customer's name to appear on there. Some of the manufacturers also do framing as well. So you want to protect the information about your customers, and you can do that. So if I click continue and go back to the main menu, on the main menu, in almost all of these blocks, we have something called options. And in this one, when we click on more options, we can say, I want to hide the customer name and I want to hide the work order number. Or maybe I don't need to hide the work order number. So it's up to you. If I did decide to hide both of those, when I go back to the purchase order and I decide to print that out, now you'll see that there isn't a work order number on there and there isn't a customer name either. So that information is hidden. And if you do want to change in between orders, you can do that just by going back to the main menu. So when you send this to the company, it will send it either as a PDF or you can send it as a document with all of the information in there. Either one of those will work for you. And I'm just going to go back here. Okay. At the top of your screen, you'll see the word edit, email. And it's not showing on mine right now, unfortunately, but email is up there. And then what you can do is you can say that you're going to email it with an attachment or email it without an attachment. Some companies don't like to open up attachments. If you send it with the attachment, it's going to look exactly like the one that I just showed you, with your company name in the top left corner saying who's ordered it, and then all the information of what you've ordered underneath it. Okay, so that's the information about the purchase order. I'm just going to take a break here right now because I know we probably may have some questions, and Chrissy also has a poll for you to run, to participate in. And if you want to bring up the poll, Chrissy.
Yeah, so I don't have any questions yet other than the audio. Some are saying that it's about 30-second delay on the phone to the computer. So I guess we'll have to work on that for next time and see if there's something that we can do on our end to fix that.
Okay, definitely.
But
yeah, the first 2 times that we ran it, it was great, and every now and then something happens, something's changed.
Yeah. So I'm going to launch this poll right now, and it's how is your production set up?
There we
If you
go.
want to take a couple minutes, you can fill that out.
So just go ahead and click on one of those, and everybody has something different. So it's just one of those curious to find out if it's a 1-person shop, or even if it's a 2-person shop, there could be 1 person who's doing all the framing. So the things that we've covered so far are taking the order, the production lists, and ordering the materials. So the next part that we're going to be covering is tracking the work as it's flowing through the process. So we'll want to take a look at that next.
Here's the results.
All right, so the majority of the people that are watching today is the 1 person does everything. So using that create frame order to compile that list is really going to be helpful for you to be able to track everything. Staff works on 1 order at a time, start to finish, okay, and then each person has their own station, 18%, and then 6% do other. So really interesting. Thank you everyone for participating in that. Let's move on then to the next part that we're going to take a look at. I'm going to go back into the FrameReady program here, and taking a look at FrameReady, I want to take a look at tracking the orders as we go through the process. So I'm going to go back to the work order screen, because this is a place where a lot of people have variety of things that you can do. So right on this list view, when we're looking at it, if we're wanting to know with the incomplete, some people like to not only identify where it is at the start, but then they have a flow that they use. So it goes to 1 person who is the check-in person. They double check all the numbers to make sure everything is good. And then it goes to the mounting table, and that person does the mounting. When they're finished with it, then they would identify that it's going to move to the next section. And the mounting person might possibly, realizing that this is doesn't have glass, or it does have glass, would decide where it's going to go next until it goes to the last person who receives it. And then when they're finished with it, they'll be the person who's going to mark it off as completed. So that's one way to do it. The other thing that people do is this priority section here is really handy. So if you wanted to, you could also identify individual things that you're going through it as well. When it's finished, of course, you don't need any of that. Some people use it for saying whether they've called, do not call, okay, or first call or second call, because the order is completed and it's ready to go. You'll see another list of items down here at the bottom. NS means no sale, and that one is used specifically for estimates. So if I was to say, find all of the estimates that I have in my database, perform find, and I want to track these. I want to know. So down at the bottom, you can see the people who I haven't called yet to know if they're ready to go ahead with the order, but I can send them the proposal through the email. I can give them a phone call to talk to them. But if they do tell me that they don't want to go ahead with it, then I want to document what is the reason for that. Was it a price objection? They decided they needed to talk to their partner. They didn't like the design really, or was there some other concern that they gave you? And the nice thing about this is that when you're tracking these, you can start to see, if we sort them out, if there's certain things that are coming up all the time. And it seems to be pretty balanced in this case, although yeah, there's a number that I didn't get to. So it might be the price is the objection. If it's the design that's the objection and you have multiple people, you might want to take a look and see, is it the same person? Is it that they're having trouble finding different ideas or creativity? Are they in a slump at the moment? Or is it just that the person who came in was looking for something different? But it's a nice way to be able to track all of that. The other location, and I'm going to go back to my Find My Incomplete list, that you can track as well is over on the left-hand side with that Go to Materials list, so that if, and it's asking me, do you want to include the glass hardware extra and mounting? And if I don't want to include that, I'm just going to type no in there and say post, and it won't include those items. So now it's just the wood frame and the mat board. But there's a status over on the left-hand side, so that if you wanted to use that to track as well, you could do that. The other location, let's go back to the work order screen, is the art tracker. And that was designed to track the art as it's going through the process, but you could use it for other things as well. So that I would create a new timestamp and its timestamp entry when it's going through, and then use the edit. So the instructions say use the edit at the bottom of the list here, okay, to enter in all the names of the people that work in the back room that are doing things for you. And there we go. So all of the staff in the back room there, and then they can select their name, who's got it. And if you wanted to do location, you could, or it's at mounting table number 1. And what's happened here is that we've got the mat cut, or we've got it mounted, or whatever it is that you're doing. So this is another way that you can track going through the process, who's doing what at each time. So, and then just select those items from the list. Okay, that tracks each individual piece to know where it's going through and the time frame that it's taking to go through them. There isn't a stop on that. There's only a start saying that this is a one-time entry on it. It's not how long did it take to go through that process. There's a find on there as well, so that if you wanted to find a certain day or a certain person, you could find everything that was on their name or everything that was passed through a certain area. And you can either say that this has been done or it is at that location. So it's up to you how you want to do that. I find most people, when we're using this section, it's one of those things where everything that I need to do would be called check-in if I'm the check-in person. Once I've finished with it, then I'm going to change it to where I'm sending the artwork to go next. So that's what I would do at that point in time. Now, when the art is finished and everything is completed, there are several things you want to do. I'm going to go back to my list of incomplete, and I want to mark that off that this has been completed. So the last person who's been fitting it, and it may say at this time that it just came from glazing, but now they're working on and they've got it fitted and it's finished. So they're going to click on this drop-down list, and there are only 3 options in here, and there should only be 3 options in here. Is that either the art would be on hold, which means I've got the artwork, but don't go ahead and order any supplies. Anything that's on hold will not be ordered for you. Only the incompletes will be ordered, okay? And complete means that it's finished, it's ready for the customer to pick it up. And I can just click on complete, but the other option that I got is that if I press down on the shift key and I click on complete, then it's going to pull up this list so that I can automatically say, who is it that finished it? So I want to know if I have questions when I come back and say, hey, Jim, I don't think we were supposed to put that hanger on the back. And then I can mark it off as done. Now this box is a little bit small right now because I've got everything in zoom mode. If you're just working in the regular view, it won't change it. It'll all fit on that little field. In the location, this is where I want to say it's ready for the customer to pick it up, and they placed it in ready bin number 3. So we've done that. The other thing is that if the customer is giving you the email, and it's a great idea to collect those, is that I can now click on that let E and send an email to Jim Taylor about the cat in the tree. And when I click on that, it automatically creates the email for me with their email address, and it addresses it to Dear Jim, we're pleased to inform you that your framing of cat in the tree has been completed and is ready to be picked up. It automatically enters in my hours of operation from a default field on the main menu. And then if I wanted to add a special message in here, I can start typing it in. to say something that so glad we went with that whimsy design. It really brings humor to the picture. You know, or so glad that we picked the blue mat, your son's eyes really pop. So once you've done that, you're going to click send, and I'll cancel there, and it's going to send that email off to Jim, letting him know that the piece is ready to pick up. One of the nice things about that is customers have said that they've sent that off to the customer, they got it on their cell phone, and they came back in on the way home from work, and they said it was so convenient for them to receive that. If you decide that you want to customize that email message that's being sent out, in the main menu, under the Options tab, you'll see where it says Edit Email Message. And that's where you can customize this message. And any of these blocks on the left-hand side are where you would, and it would fill in the items that are going to be pulled out from other fields. So it's going to auto-fill that information. And again, it addresses it signs it by whoever took the order. So whoever the name is that's on the list that dealt with the customer in the first place, it's their name that's going on there and saying yes. And while I've got this customer here, I might also want to say this one is a return to sender. That email came back, so I would be asking them for a new email because it's in red. That's how I know that. Anytime you see red or a message that's appearing someplace, it's an alert. So you should pay attention to that. So I'm just going to continue on with that last little bit. If you decide that you don't want to be in the list view when you're marking things as complete, I'm going to go to the next one, and I'm going to click on Shop tab here. I can also mark it that this is complete. Okay, who it was completed by. All right. And the auto-fills the date for me. You'll see that we've also got some new fields in here, picked up by. So this is really handy if we were saying that this item was picked up by Mary, and then what the date is, and we can track that. Again, when the customer comes back, I want to be able to let everybody know that that piece is gone. So I'm going to say that Mary and Jim came in to pick up their piece. I'm going to say find work order. And I know that the description had the word cat in it. I may not remember anything else. His name starts with J. I don't know if it's Jim or James. And that should be enough information that I can find the order that I want. So once I found the order, it tells me, now that the customer is standing in front of me, that this one is in ready bin number 3. I'm going to go get it for him. And it's a deposit, so there's some balance that's owing. I'm going to mark this as picked up. Okay, so that everybody knows it's gone. And then over on the left-hand side is the posted button, so I can click Find Invoice to take the final payment. If I want to add who it was, then I'm going to say Jim is here and he picked it up today. There we go. Okay, click on the Find Invoice and let them know that the balance that's owed is $185.50. Okay, how do you want to pay for that? And while I'm getting to the piece, they can decide how they want to pay for that. Then all they need to do is take their final payment, how they're paying for it. And then if they want a copy of the invoice, I can print out done, print invoice, and it would do it for them automatically. But if you want to save on your paper a little bit, you can ask them, would you like me to email that to you? And I can click on the email button and send it to them that way instead. So I'm going to go back to this screen. Chrissy, do you have, I believe you have another poll that we can do? And then
I have a question first for you.
Oh, yes.
I would like to know, how do you get to the art tracker?
On the work order screen, in the center of the screen is a gray button called Art Tracker. And just clicking on that gray button will take you to the Art Tracker screen.
Perfect, thank you. And we're gonna get to the next poll here, and if you want to take a few minutes to answer that, that would be great.
Okay. The other thing that I'm going to, while people are doing that, is just remind you that if you can take a digital image of the finished piece and put it into your picture file, store it there. Make sure the image is not too large. You don't want anything huge on there, simply because it's going to bog down. It's going to take up a lot of data space. So a couple of kilobytes, just a little screenshot, and put it in there. And that gives you a wonderful brag book where you can show off the things that you've done in the past. So you can pull up all of the jerseys and show somebody, here's what I've done, or show them examples, live examples. And the great thing is that if they say, oh, I like that design, all you have to do then is duplicate the work order and most of the work is done for you. So be sure to enter that in. If you're also wondering about where to set up your hours, because you want to have your hours of operation enter in, that's on the main menu in the Setup Data button in the top right-hand corner of the screen, and click on Operation, the Operation tab, and that will let you know.
I'm going to close the poll now, okay, Carol?
Yep, go ahead. And this is what people would like to learn about next, and Chrissy's going to show us the results of the poll so we can all see it. There we go, excellent. So yeah, contacting clients, people want to know about that. We are working on credit card processing, and as soon as that's available, we'll do that. Purchase orders, the information on how to set up the purchase orders is in the other screen, in the handouts there, and materials list. Yeah, I'm really excited. If you have feedback on the materials list, things that you would like to see in there while we're in development on this, give us some feedback. Either go to the FrameReady Framers Facebook page, send us an email. Chrissy's email is on there as well. So if you wanted to contact her and talk to her about that, and she'll compile that information for us. So I was just mentioning on the setup data, and that's under the operations tab, where you can enter in the days that you are open and change your hours. And once you've changed it there, anytime that you send it out on an email, it's automatically going to be sent. Include the current hours. So if you are changing your hours during this difficult time, that's going to make it a lot easier for you. The other thing is some people like to do, and I'll just mention this, is that when you are calling your contacts, customers, to tell them that their order is ready to be picked up, when you're on this customer's record and you click on the button with the two people to go to the contact file, then some people like to use the date notes to type in here, called, left message with son, okay? So that when people call back and say, nope, nobody called me, I never got anything, then you can say, yes, actually we called this day and we talked to your son. And then when you go back to the work order screen, that's all taken care of. You can go to the next record to call the next person. Okay, and while you're calling, go ahead and make that documentation in their notes to say that you called them for that order and who you spoke with. Otherwise, send the email. Super. I don't know if there are any other questions that anybody might have.
I do have one. If you can only have one image per work order, I have a raw watercolor print image. How can I also add the framed and matted image as well?
Excellent question. Over on the right-hand side, when you click on picture, if you put one picture in here, then it's just going to go into this box. But if you click on the button below it that says picture file, you can enter in as many pictures as you want. So the minute that you insert one in here, it's automatically going to go to a field showing that there are more of them available. I'll just go to the very last record because I have a picture in here already. So if I go to picture file, you'll see that now I can insert another one into the next box. And you can also put a little note in here to talk about it or make a comment if you're documenting damage of the art as well. I know one person who used this as people ask the question, why is picture framing so expensive? Because it's a custom product, and they used this and created multiple images with explanation of each step that goes through. And people said, oh my gosh, I didn't realize you had to cut the mat. I didn't realize you had to cut the glass and do all this extra work. Yeah, no wonder. I can understand this now. So I'm going to click the done button there. And the other final tip I want to leave you with is if you're looking for money in your program, this find can do it. Click on the find button. I want to find all of the items that are completed, are ready for the customer to pick up, but have not been posted to an invoice. So maybe I think that, it should have been, but it wasn't. And if I do that, I'm going to find any orders that should have been posted to an invoice and I don't have any money. I'm waiting for this money to come in. So, and usually you might have one or two that might do that. The other thing is to say, I want to find all of the ones that are complete. And in the location field, I want to find the ones that are ready to be picked up. Now, I have ready 1, ready 2, ready 3. So instead of typing in one specific, I'm just going to type in ready, because it doesn't matter which ready bin they're in. I just want to find all the ones that are ready. And that will give me a list of all the ones that are ready to be picked up but haven't been picked up yet. Gives me an opportunity to say, hey, let me send another email out to that person. Let me call them and remind them about it. If you're looking for an email message that is helpful in the contacts file, under the print letters, we do have one here that says a little bit of a humorous wording to remind people that they should come in and pick up the art that they left with us. So if you want to copy that and put that into an email message, that's a fun little thing to do. Anyway, thank you so much, everyone, for your time. And I see that we're at our closing time. So I just want to thank you very much. If you attended the session, you will receive a copy of this video so that you can go back through things that you've missed or wanted to take note of or learn something new. Anybody who registers for the video but couldn't attend, they too will also be able to receive a copy of the video. So I just want to thank you so much for attending, and we will see you again next time.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.